Translation. And we said, O Adam, dwell, you and your wife, in paradise and eat therefrom in ease and abundance from wherever you will. But do not approach this tree, lest you be among the wrongdoers. Tafsir. This is a continuation of the story of Adam. When his superiority over the angels and his fitness for the role of vice-regent had been announced to the angels and been acknowledged by them, and Iblis had been condemned as an infidel and expelled from paradise on account of his pride and his defiance of divine authority, Adam and Hawa, Eve, his wife, received a command from Allah to live in paradise and enjoy its blessings. But they were also instructed not to eat the fruit of a particular tree. Now, having been disgraced because of Adam, Iblis or Satan had an account to settle with him, and as soon as he got the opportunity, he tricked them into eating from this tree. Because of this error on their part, they too were ordered to leave paradise, and to go down and live on the earth. They were at the same time warned that their existence on the earth would no longer be full of perpetual bliss as it had been in paradise, but that there would be dissension and enmity among men, their progeny, which would spoil the joy of earthly life. Since these events took place after Adam had been created and the angels had been commanded to prostrate themselves before him, some scholars have concluded from it that the creation of Adam and the prostration of the angels took place somewhere outside paradise, and that he was sent there later on. But the words of the Holy Quran do not exclude the other interpretation that both the events took place in paradise, but that he had not been told at that time where he was to live, which was done later. When Adam and Hawa were sent to live in paradise, they were allowed to eat whatever they liked at pleasure, the Arabic word in the text being ragadan, which signifies provision for which one does not have to work, and which is never exhausted nor falls short. Thus, their life was totally free from all care. They were commanded not to go near a certain tree, which was an emphatic way of asking them not to eat its fruit. The tree has not been given a specific name either in the Holy Quran or in the Hadith. Some commentators say that it was wheat, others say that it was a fig tree or a grapevine. But it is not really necessary to make specific what the Holy Quran has left vague. See Qurtubi, 15:15. Even the Bible does not name the tree. As to the apple being the fruit concerned, it is only a popular misunderstanding arising from the fact that the Latin word malum means an apple as well as a sin, or evil. According to the Holy Quran, it was Satan who caused them to slip, as a lahuma. It clearly shows that the error and disobedience of Adam and Hawa was not of the kind which technically constitutes a sin, but arose out of a misunderstanding produced by Satan. They ate the forbidden fruit, because Satan had cleverly deceived them. 16:16. We may note that in the previous episode the Holy Quran used the name Iblis, a word which comes from the root balas, to be disappointed, and hence signifies one who has lost all hope of receiving the grace of Allah. In the present episode he has been called al-Shaitan, a word which comes from the root shatan, to be far away, and hence signifies one who has been removed far away from the mercy of Allah. Iblis is a proper name, while Shaitan is the name of a genus. When the Holy Quran speaks of al-Shaitan, it always refers to Iblis. But the common noun Shaitan, or its plural Shayatin, refers to the genus, which includes men and jinns both. It would be interesting to add that the root shait means the excess of anger and rage, and may possibly be the basis of the word Shaitan. Adam and Hawa, in paradise, 1. In allowing Adam and Hawa to eat at pleasure, and in forbidding them to go near the tree, Allah used, according to the text of the Holy Quran, the verbs for the dual number, thus including both in the address. But in asking them to live in paradise, Allah did not address both of them, but said, "You and your wife." This form of address yields two legal principles: a. The husband is responsible for providing a dwelling place for his wife. b. For the purpose of dwelling, the wife is dependent on the husband, and she must live in the house in which her husband lives. 2. In this context, the Arabic word uskan life suggests that their stay in paradise was to be temporary, not permanent, which is a usual condition for the ownership of a house. Allah did not say that paradise had been given to them, but only asked them to live there, for Allah knew that certain things were going to happen on account of which they would have to leave this dwelling place. Moreover, the right to own a dwelling place in paradise is earned through Iman, faith, and good deeds, which one can acquire only after the Day of Judgment. The fuqaha, jurists, have derived from it the principle that, if a man asks someone to live in his house, the other man does not thereby acquire the ownership of the house nor the right to a permanent stay. Qurtubi, 3, in allowing Adam and Hawa to eat at pleasure, Allah used the verb for the dual number, and said, meaning eat both of you. This indicates that in the matter of food the wife is not subservient to her husband, but can eat whatever she needs or likes, as can the husband. 4. Allah also allowed them to eat from wherever they liked. This shows that man has the right to move freely from one place to another according to his needs or wishes. 5. Allah did not want them to eat the fruits of a certain tree, but as a precautionary measure he commanded them not to approach it even. It is from here that the fuqaha have derived one of the basic principles of Islamic law, which requires that the things or actions which are likely to serve as means to sin or as its instruments are equally forbidden. That is to say, there are certain things which are not forbidden in themselves, but when there is a danger that in making use of them a man would become involved in an unlawful activity, they too have to be forbidden. The prophets are innocent of all sins. 6. As we have seen here, Adam had been forbidden to eat the fruit of a certain tree, and had also been warned against the machinations of his enemy, Satan, and yet he had eaten the forbidden fruit. It is seemingly a sin, while the Holy Quran, the Hadith and rational arguments too establish the innocence and sinlessness of all the prophets. There is an absolute consensus of the four great Imams of Islamic law and of all the authentic scholars on the doctrine that each and every prophet is innocent of and protected against all sins, major or minor. Some people have suggested that prophets are not protected against minor sins, but the majority of authentic scholars do not agree with this opinion. Qurtubi, it is necessary for prophets to be thus protected, because they are sent down to be the guides of men. If a guide can go against the commandments of Allah and commit a sin, major or even minor, people would no longer be ready to trust his word or deed. If one cannot have trust and faith even in the prophets, how can the work of spiritual guidance be possible? Hence the necessity of prophets being sinners. The Holy Quran does, however, relate certain incidents which tend to suggest that a certain prophet committed a sin, and drew upon himself the displeasure of Allah. The story about Adam eating the forbidden fruit is one such instance. According to the consensus of the authentic scholars, in all cases a prophet comes to commit an error through a misunderstanding or just forgetfulness, and it is never a deliberate and willful transgression of divine commandment. As is well known, a mujtahid is one who possesses the necessary qualifications for finding out through analogical deduction the rule for a case regarding which no specific commandment is present in the Holy Quran or the Hadith. If he makes a mistake in determining the rule, he still receives a reward from Allah for having made the effort. The mistake made by a prophet is always of this nature, or is due to oversight and hence pardonable, and cannot be called a sin in the technical sense. Moreover, a prophet, being under the protection of Allah, can never show oversight or forgetfulness in things which are directly concerned with his prophetic and legislative function, but only in personal matters. See al-Bara al-Muhid, the station of the prophets, however, is so exalted, that even a little oversight on the part of a great man is considered to be a great error. That is why such slips on the parts of certain prophets have been described in the Holy Quran as sins, and Allah has shown his displeasure too, although they are not sins in their nature. As for the error committed by Adam, commentators have advanced several explanations. A certain tree was pointed out to Adam as being forbidden. But it was not this particular tree alone that was intended, but all the trees of this kind. The Hadith too relates a similar case. Holding a piece of silk and some gold in his hand, the Holy Prophet peace be upon him said that those two things were forbidden to the men in his ummah. Obviously the ban does not apply to these very pieces of silk and gold alone, but to silk and gold as such. But it is quite possible for someone to imagine that only the particular pieces which the Holy Prophet peace be upon him held in his hand were forbidden. Similarly, Adam thought that the prohibition applied only to the particular tree which had been pointed out to him. Satan exploited this misunderstanding, and assured him on oath that, being a well-wisher, he could never advise him to do something which was wrong or harmful, and that the forbidden tree was quite different, and not the one from which he was asking him to pluck a fruit. B. Satan may have suggested to Adam that the prohibition was valid only up to a period after he had been created, just as infants are denied heavy food till they have grown up, and that since Adam had now grown stronger, the ban too had been lifted. C. It is equally possible that, when Satan told him that if he ate this fruit, the eternal bliss of paradise would be guaranteed for him, Adam forgot the prohibition. This verse of the Holy Quran seems to give credence to such a possibility. Adam forgot, and we did not find him steadfast. 115. Anyhow, the essential point is that Adam did not deliberately and willfully disobey Allah. All that he did was an act of oversight or the kind of mistake which a mujtahid can make. The error was not, properly speaking, a sin, but Adam being so close to Allah, and in view of his station of a prophet, even this lapse was regarded as very serious, and described as a sin in the Holy Quran. But the Holy Quran tells us that when he repented and prayed for pardon, Allah forgave him.